What's going on, guys? Sorry it's been a couple of days, but my Xbox is dying hardcore. Like, it takes a long time to read a game. Like, I have to open and close the tray like 150 times. It's so annoying that this isn't even my gameplay. It's actually my brother's gameplay. I'm gonna put a link to his channel in the description. Yeah, go check him out. He puts up a lot of good videos. He does Battlefield and Gears. He's a pretty damn good player, so go check him out. He's raising up pretty fast. He's all the way up to 15 subs and after a week of posting. He joined a while ago, but he didn't post at all. He was just doing it for comments and stuff. But anyway, what I want to talk about in this video is speculation for multiplayer game modes for Gears of War Judgment that aren't Overrun. So obviously Overrun will be a multiplayer game mode, and it is unclear if it's going to have its own thing or be part of the competitive playlists or whatever. But I don't really think that matters too much right now. So first I want to talk about old game modes and what I think of their chances of returning. And I'm going to start out by talking about Execution and Warzone. Now, there is no doubt in my mind that Execution will come back. However, there is a lot of doubt in my mind that Warzone will. And I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, wait, Warzone's been around since Gears 1, blah, blah, blah. It's a staple mode, blah, 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 blah. Well, that doesn't matter. You literally do not need them both. They're very similar game types. The only difference being that in Warzone you can kill from afar, and Execution you can't. But the fact of the matter is, though, if you look at the Execution numbers and you look at the Warzone numbers, Execution crushes it. And you don't need to have those two game types. They're way too similar, like I said. So you keep one. And I think it'll have to be Execution. And this is coming from somebody who traditionally liked Warzone more. I like the ability to kill people from afar. I've never really been a huge fan of Execution, really up until this game. But that's what I think is going to happen there. I think for sure Execution comes back. We lose Warzone. The numbers just aren't there to support having them both. So what do? You trim the fat. And in this case, Warzone is the fat. So Execution, I think, comes back. I do not think Warzone will. Next, I want to talk about Guardian and Capture the Leader next. And this is going to be basically very similar to the last one. Epic introduced Capture the Leader, which was basically a combination of Guardian and Submission from Gears 2. And what the problem with that was that Guardian was a hugely popular mode, and Submission was literally the opposite. Nobody played Submission. We didn't have numbers in GoWJ 2, but if you jumped into a ranked Submission game, especially toward the end, you weren't going to get one. Nobody played that game type. It was very unpopular. I mean, it wasn't the worst game type ever. It was some fun. I played a little bit when the game first came out, but, I just don't see both of them coming back. Epic even said they were not going to bring Guardian back and ended up doing it anyway because of the demand for it. So I think Guardian definitely comes back. Maybe more like it was in GoWJ 2. Maybe in the way it is now. Actually, the way it plays out in Gears 3, honestly, I think it's better. Even with the ability to see through walls, just the matches go by faster. It's not a giant camp fest like it used to be. It's just maybe it's just Gears 3 and Gears 2 being so different. I don't know, but I think that Guardian does come back. I think we're gonna drop CTL. Sorry for you CTL lovers, but it just wasn't that popular. It is what it is. Anyway, moving forward, I think King of the Hill most definitely will come back. It is the number 2 playlist on this game. Maybe tweak it a little bit, do what you got to do. Please make the spawns a little better. So many maps had so many broken spawns on King of the Hill. It wasn't even funny. But for the most part, it's a very good game type, very balanced, and the popularity's there. It's working. We got played competitively. Obviously, the people in the competitive community are a little fickle and whine about stupid things because everybody in the competitive community doesn't have the ability to understand that the game doesn't have it's not going to be built around their personal style. And when you have all these different personalities and people in the competitive community, if they all got what they wanted, you'd have 100 different variations of Gears. That's just how it is. But King of the Hill, very good game type. It is definitely coming back. And the one I wanted to group this with was TDM. And look at the TDM numbers and look at the numbers for any other playlist. Okay? There is no doubt that TDM is coming back. What I'm hoping for with King of the Hill and TDM is that the maps are designed to cater more to those modes, being that they're more popular. One of the big problems in this game, and it really is pretty evident, is that these maps were still designed around the Warzone and Execution style gameplay. And therefore, spawn trapping became super easy on TDM. I don't even think there's a map you cannot spawn trap on in TDM, to be honest. And, for King of the Hill, things were a little weird. Just some hill rotations, questionable spots. So I think they need to do a better job. That's another thing I want to talk about. I don't want to see any new maps from Gears 1. Old maps from Gears 1, Gears 2, or Gears 3 in this game. And I was a big proponent of bringing maps back in Gears 3 and Gears 2. Don't get me wrong, I liked it, but Judgment is not in the Gears series. You have Gears 1, 2, 3, and hopefully someday 4. Kind of like how you have Halo 1, 2, 3. Then you have like Halo Wars on the side and ODST and Reach. But Halo 4 is the next real Halo. It is the next game in the next iteration of that franchise. The other games are really just spin-offs. And I think that's what Judgment is. Judgment's going to be something else. And because of that, I think it's time to just, as far as map-wise go, let's just start fresh. All different things. Just cater to all the game types, not just the other ones, not just Horde and Execution, which is what I think they did. I think they built these maps literally around Horde and Execution. So it's a little weird. Obviously I could be wrong about that, but I'm fairly confident I've heard them say they built them more for the Execution Warzone style and had a lot of Horde in mind. And I think the way the maps, the way they play out and the way they're designed, I think that probably is true. All right, so Wingman. I am on the fence about Wingman. I don't know. It's not a really popular game mode, but it's not really that unpopular either. It's just a weird game type. Personally, what I'd like to see happen is I'd like to see them scrap the idea altogether. Have a legit free-for-all, and maybe have Brothers to the End. That's Brothers to the End. It's doubles. It's 2v2. That makes more sense to me. 4 teams of 2 is kind of weird. And honestly, it's always kind of been a luck-based game. Good spawns, picking which direction to go. If you want to go that route, just bring in a legit free-for-all and have Brothers to the End. Brothers to the End, we don't have the numbers on it, but I've never had a hard time finding a match in that. I feel like it's a pretty popular mode. It's just 2v2 TDM, but you can mix around game types with it, change it up, whatever. Let's see, other modes. I think that is all the multiplayer modes. But I want to talk about some things I'd like to see. First of all, if you guys remember, if you were on the Epic forums during, as we closed in on the release of GoW 3, pro player Arctic and also commentator made a thread about a bomb game type similar to like a Call of Duty Search and Destroy. Based on what I've seen from Overrun, the way like the generators assigned and all that, I think that's probably a pretty good sign that we're going to see a game type like that in this game. And this is part of the reason I don't want them to bring Warzone back either, because I think you go this route, you bring in this new bomb game type, and that can have Warzone rules if you want, whatever. But like, if you have that, Execution, and Warzone, that's like 3 essential like elimination game types. But you know what though, like something else Arctic said in one of his commentaries was that all the objective modes in Gears are based around killing people. So if you bring in something like this bomb game type, it'll change up, it'll add a different flow, a different element. You could have teams still going for kills and trying to win like that. But if people are going to camp or whatever, you have this bomb. You can go plant it, and you can win that way. So either way, you're forcing the action. It just seems like such a logical game type for this series, as a lot of the Gears games, Gears 2 and 3 were generally pretty slow. Gears 3, it can be slow. It is and it isn't. It's weird. But a game type like that forces action. It'd be great for competitive. It would be great online. Everybody would love it. It's time to go that route. Not everything has to have a weird spin on it in Gears. Also, I'd like to see a legitimate capture the flag. I know Epic likes to make all their game types weird, like I hinted at, but just make it like capture the light mass bomb or something like that. Just something in the Gears universe. It doesn't have to be so gimmicky. Just let's get some real game types going. Going this gimmicky route has not really worked. It's kind of proved it. But anyway, this video is just about wrapped up. Check out my brother's channel, link in the description. And that's going to do it. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.